NATO coalition forces once numbered around 140,000, the majority of them American. Today, only about 10,000 U.S. troops remain, and half of those will be gone next year as U.S. President Barack Obama fulfills his pledge to end the 13-year war in Afghanistan. The problem is Afghanistan may not be ready to go it alone. Last year was the conflict's bloodiest, with more than 5,000 Afghans dying in insurgent violence. With ISIL becoming more active in the country's southern region and Al-Qaeda and the Taliban still entrenched, new Afghan President Ashraf Ghani is calling on his coalition partners to rethink their plans. Later, we'll talk with a former Afghan ambassador and press attaché, but first, more on the challenges facing Afghanistan from CCTV's Nathan King.
Low-key ceremonies in Kabul and across Afghan villages have signalled the formal end of the US and NATO mission in Afghanistan. After 13 years, even as the war rages on, US President Barack Obama is optimistic, saying never again will Afghanistan be a haven for terrorists. But his top military officer seems to disagree.
Well, I mean, you'd have to ask the president how he can say that.
Also wary is Afghan's new president, Ashraf Ghani. Even though about 13,000 NATO troops will remain throughout 2015 to train Afghan forces, that number will be halved again in 2016, and the last US troops will pull out as President Obama leaves office, fulfilling a political pledge that he will end the war in Afghanistan. But as the US and others leave, the death toll is mounting. The Taliban have stepped up attacks in the heart of the Afghan capital. The United Nations says civilian casualties reached record levels in 2014, up 19% to nearly 3,200. The new Afghan government is urging a deeper commitment, and while the US says it will intervene if there is a rapid Taliban advance, it remains committed to the troop drawdown. Meanwhile, the Taliban is claiming victory.
The Taliban defined success over a decade ago. They defined success as the removal of foreign forces. And this symbolic departure, and it is a symbolic departure, is something that can allow them to claim victory.
There are some signs of hope, however. Afghanistan now has a 350,000-strong security force. It has been taking the lead since last year and training personnel with billions of dollars in aid. And after months of political deadlock, a national unity government is now functioning and cabinet posts have been announced. Still, corruption is rampant, heroin production is up, and there are other security threats, such as ISIL, on Afghans' porous borders. US-led forces entered Afghanistan in 2002 with a pledge to oust Al-Qaeda. In that narrowly defined mission, they had success. But in their bid to rid the country of the Taliban and build a strong, viable nation, there is still much work to do. And that will now largely fall on the Afghans themselves. Anand?
Thanks, Nathan. That's CCTV's Nathan King reporting. Joining